Welcome to your doom.
Hello, everybody. This is Justin.
This is Atul.
And this is the Welcome to Your Doom show. That tapping you may have heard was Atul playing with his fucking food before he actually ate it. Or drank his drink.
Beer. It was my beer. I was asking Justin why tapping it on the top, why people do that.
And I gave you an answer about 30 taps ago.
I was just hoping after you did that, you grabbed it, you opened it, it just exploded.
Give me the goddamn soap.
I was just waiting for you to open it.
That would have been probably pretty amusing, to be honest. If I had to be honest, I would have been furious, but I still would have probably laughed at it later.
That's right.
Or just continued to be furious.
What are we reviewing today, Justin?
Well, it's almost December.
Almost December.
And to get in that festive spirit, I thought it would be a good time to talk about the newest Kurt Russell as Santa Claus film.
The newest. I'd certainly hope this turns into a franchise. I think that would be pretty fun.
That would be great.
Like a whole series of films where it's Kurt Russell as Santa, but with different stories.
I'd want to see Kurt Russell playing the Santa Claus from the Guardians of whatever.
Yeah.
Guardians. What was it? It had a longer name. Guardians. Or no, did it?
Rise of the
Guardians?
Yeah.
God damn it. See, that came out in an
Rise of the Legend of the Guardians. The Owls of Ga'Hoole.
I'm trying to remember if they were going to have another name for that film too, and I can't remember.
Were you working at DreamWorks when they were making that movie?
I was at DreamWorks when they had that. Yeah. Some of the concept art. Actually, I have some of the concept art. I think in a book.
Yeah, I have that. I don't know. You gave me a copy of that.
Yeah.
Like
some of the concept art of like Santa Claus.
Oh, it's great.
From that is amazing. Great. Like they went far off the beaten path a few times for that design.
For sure. You're probably wondering why we're reviewing this movie. And I'll tell you. Please. Simply for the fact that Kurt Russell is in this movie playing Santa Claus, it just couldn't be ignored. I think we actually had a different episode planned for today, but we had both watched this movie in the last 4 days, I think.
I watched it yesterday. Yeah.
I watched it on Saturday night, which was just like 4 days ago. So, Kurt Russell is basically like geek royalty. I feel like he's like genre film royalty. Like the movies that he's been in have been very like influential in like the science fiction fantasy, I guess, is genre. Like his collaborations with John Carpenter. He's been, Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China. What am I forgetting here? The Thing. Yeah, of course.
I was just saying The Fog. Wrong one.
The Fog. Yeah, The Thing. But he's been in so many movies that I've loved, and really just like a household name, I guess, for our generation, or maybe even the generation before. No, probably our generation, like in the 80s.
I'd say so. Yeah, 80s.
Yeah, 80s, early 90s. He disappeared for a little while. He wasn't making movies for long. I don't have exact numbers here, but then he saw this major resurgence in the last 5 years, I'd say. He came out with a movie, which I was really excited about, called Bone Tomahawk. But that same year, which is a horror western, essentially, a fantastic movie if you haven't seen it already, a dark graphic western. That same year, he came out with another western for Tarantino in The Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
And then he was in the Fast and the Furious franchise, and suddenly Kurt Russell was fucking everywhere. And I loved every second of it because two out of those 3 movies I just mentioned, he is sporting a massive, glorious beard. Right?
And then he shaved it for the Fast and the Furious films.
He shaved it for the Fast and the Furious films, and he looked like Mr. Bigglesworth, like from Austin Powers. Like I just couldn't even. I'm like, oh my god,
take him seriously.
Who are you? But and then he was in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, in which he had the beard back. Guardians 2, which I haven't seen yet. Oddly, being a big Kurt Russell fan myself, I haven't seen Guardians 2. But the movies that I loved growing up, like Big Trouble in Little China, huge film for my family. Like, we grew up on that. We quote that movie constantly. The Thing is like one of my favorite science fiction films. Tombstone is one of my favorite westerns, and that movie is just jam packed with people. So he's also in a movie called Dark Blue, which he plays a corrupt L.A. Cop during the L.A. riots. It's a great performance, but I don't think anybody's really seen the movie. It's one of those hidden hidden gems. And if you come across it, you should definitely check it out. But a long history, basically an icon for a lot of people. And now he's playing fucking Santa Claus.
Now he's playing Santa Claus. I think my favorite portrayals that Kurt Russell has to do with when he hams it up a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and
that's true.
Sky High.
God, love that.
One of my favorite superhero films that wasn't a Marvel or DC film kind of deal. You know, it was just such a fun film, and he's hamming it up, and he's having fun. That's one thing about Kurt Russell in all of those films that you can see him really just put on a show.
Yeah,
is he looks like he's having a good time.
Yeah,
same is true of this movie. Same was true of the Tarantino of Hateful Eight.
Oh yeah,
he looked like he was having a blast.
Yeah,
every single line he delivered, he was gnawing at the scene like a fucking ravaged dog, just going crazy on every scene. He was so he was just in it's hard not to be enthralled with his performances because he's just having so much fun.
Yeah, there's a scene in Sky High that absolutely slays me every time I'd seen it. Every time I'd seen it, it was. I own that movie on DVD. Actually, when I saw it, I was so surprised at the quality of that movie.
Yeah,
because I wasn't expecting much, and it turned out to be really great.
Bruce Campbell's in it,
and the original Wonder Woman is the
Linda
principal.
Carter.
Linda Carter is the principal of the school, but he plays obviously a superpowered hero, kind of like Superman, but can't fly.
Yeah,
his wife can fly. Is it Carla Gugino? That's not.
I can't remember. I think that's the.
I can't remember. Anyway, you can look that up while I'm chatting away. There's a scene where he gets upset and he grabs the phone to dial a number, and he dials the number, but he's doing it too hard, and he breaks the phone. And he's like, damn it. I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but he opens a drawer and throws the phone away, but you can see 50 other broken phones in that drawer because he's done it so many times because he's so strong. And I'm just little things like that. His performance makes it so funny, and he really hits the nail on the head there. So,
so Kelly Preston was the mother.
The mother. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry,
I'm not really familiar with her work, but also Danielle Panabaker, who plays Killer Frost in the Flash series.
Yes, she's the green girl, right?
I forgot about
the plant
that.
lady.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen Sky High, you should check it out. So essentially, when I saw that Kurt Russell was going to be playing Santa Claus, I'm like, I like Christmas movies, and Kurt Russell playing Santa Claus, I'm just this is pretty much a watch for me. It was never under consideration that I was not. There was no question.
Right.
I was definitely watching this movie.
Yeah. The other thing for me is there's been a serious influx of Christmas films thus far in Netflix, nauseously so, because there's so many fucking ones that I'm just looking at why would you make that movie? It looks horrible.
Yeah, the Princess Switch, the Christmas Princess.
I don't give a shit. I don't
Christmas
even want to
Switch.
Christmas calendar.
Okay. Christmas calendar. A Christmas. Oh shit! I had it. The Christmas wedding planner.
That's not a movie. You're making things up. You're just putting Christmas behind title.
The Christmas Prince
the Christmas
wedding
receptionist. The Christmas flight attendant. Santa's accountant.
That's right. Yeah,
no,
let's
fucking get the fuck out of here.
I think that might actually be a real movie, but no, you're absolutely right. They're pouring in, and I
personally felt left out, and I wanted to see a Christmas movie. I saw that, I was like, Kurt's my boy.
Yeah,
and then I sent that to my lovely wife.
And we're gonna go there. Let's go.
I don't know. We've been together 6 years at this point, I think, and
it's never too late to pull the shoot, my friend.
I think I might have to. Her exact words were, "This film looks scary," which I inquired more about it later, and I found out that it was because of the elves. Which, in her defense,
we'll get into that.
Those fucking elves they were I don't know. She saw them in Sandy's or images, whatever. She said they look terrifying. I can kind of get that. Then she said, Kurt Russell just doesn't do it for me, or something along those lines. And I had choice words to say. So
none of them good, I imagine.
Yeah, the divorce papers will be filed probably tomorrow.
It's okay.
She's going to find out about it after listening to this, so I guess she won't know until Friday.
Yeah. You can sleep on the couch if she kicks you out.
No, I paid for the couch.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think she did.
I was saying you can sleep on my couch.
That's probably what I'm going to have to do. At this point, that's what I'm going to have to do.
So we've sort of established why we're watching this movie.
Kurt Russell in Rebellion.
Yeah. It's just, I personally, I have seen one of those movies. I think it was the Christmas Prince. I think that's what it was called. I watched that with my wife, and it was genuinely awful. But it's kind of fluff. And I'm like, I got my own fluff.
Yeah.
And this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is enjoyable fluff for me. I think this is good fluff. So general opinion on the movie.
It wasn't good.
Not really, no. No, the movie wasn't good.
No.
But
Yes.
it's better than, well, I've only seen the Christmas Prince as one of those, deluge of really kind of cheesy, opportunistic Christmas films. I feel like this tries to be more. It tries to be more than just a cheesy Christmas film. There's a little more artistry on display. There's a little more this more genuine, I think. And I think a lot of that has to do with, I think even the brother and sister are actually relatively good actors.
They are.
But Kurt Russell as Santa Claus brings the whole thing home. That's pretty much what sells the movie.
Yeah.
And there's really not a whole lot beyond that. But I feel like everybody that's in the movie holds their own, and they do a relatively good job. It doesn't ever feel like it's cheap. The movie doesn't
look or feel cheap.
Yeah.
No. I mean, the special effects in it are okay, but I mean, it's not exactly I'd be shocked if the budget of this film was over like 25 to 30 million. I mean, the effects and stuff. I'll look it up, but I don't think the effects were passable for what it is. It's a Netflix.
It's pretty creative. I thought while the effects weren't like the absolute best. I think like the elves, for example, they decided to go full CG with the elves, and just didn't really play out. Didn't like it. The elves are probably the weakest part of the movie.
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah. But there are some interesting effects, interesting creative choices about, there's a lot of movies that examine how Santa gets around the world and does that whole thing, and they all have their own take. This movie has its own take, and it's kind of cheesy but somebody thought about it. It feels like, there was someone who was being creative, trying to deliver a new explanation on that. So, but, at the same time, it is a fluffy Christmas movie. There's really not much to it. I would put it in as a lower grade Elf.
Lower grade Elf's a bit much.
I think Elf is a better movie.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I mean. I mean, it's not as good as Elf. Mm-hmm. It's not bad. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Elf is
Christmas classic, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean.
Oh. There was some hesitation there.
Yes. If you're into that sort of thing.
You are.
Yeah. Are you gonna pour your beer into your coffee? Oh, jeez.
Oh, that was a mistake. Oh, sorry. Double fisting coffee and IPAs is not advisable. Anywho. All right, let's talk about the movie then.
All right, so we're going to jump in? Is this spoiler territory now?
No, we can. Yeah, might as well. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Christmas Chronicles, starring Kurt Russell's beard and a bunch of other people. All right.
Yeah. You got me back. The last episode wasn't as good. This one,
I realized that.
This one you picked it up.
Yeah.
You brought the heat.
Brought the heat.
Or the cold.
Shut it. Let's go. Let's go.
So the movie opens up, basically, you got a montage of the family's Christmases from 2000 and whatever until 2000 and now.
Yep.
And you can see the kids getting old, and everybody loves Christmas. The dad's kind of the patriarch of the whole Christmas everything.
Yep.
He's the guy that's always spearheading it.
Yep.
And then later you go into the daughter's room. She's the only one that's at the house. Then the son comes in and all this. Eventually it's revealed the dad died.
Yep.
He was a firefighter, I think.
Yep. Yeah. Copper firefighter.
Copper firefighter.
Yeah, a fire.
He was somebody. He was somebody that was saving lives. He basically went to go save some lives and died.
That's right.
Very sad.
Yeah.
And
also, like a standard manipulation move
Absolutely.
from a movie like this.
Yes.
Which is neither here nor there, because I feel like a lot of movies do this kind of thing. That's how they get you. So this is like docking points just right off the bat for really going for that cliched like emotional hook.
Exactly.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yep. And then the kids kind of have their kerfuffles, and then you think that each one's going to turn on the other one. However, they always kind of stop just short of like betraying the other person.
Yeah.
And then I kind of thought that was nice. Like you saw that there was a sibling rivalry, almost a little bit more so than a typical one, but that they still genuinely liked each other. I thought that was kind of an interesting way to do it.
And I think you see that, again, like I think there is a subverted cliche where the older brother who is kind of like now a loner, dad's not around, so he's kind of going off track on his own, like, Grand Theft Auto, like whatever he's got going on, drinking with his like teenage buddies.
Let's talk about that though.
Yeah.
So they weren't drinking. They went. I don't think.
Some guy who drank something.
Well, she mentioned something about beers. The daughter.
Yeah, but I thought they were drinking before they got into the car.
It was a Rockstar energy drink.
Shut up!
I swear, I'm pretty sure I saw a Monster can. Anyways, so
right.
the reason I wanted to bring that
How
up.
responsible of them.
Well, yeah. The reason I wanted to bring that up is it was such a strange choice for them to be like, yeah, these kids are bad. They boost cars. Like, I thought they were going to come out of there and, like, start smoking cigarettes. I mean, it's a Christmas movie. Smoking cigarettes, maybe drinking some beers, maybe get a little risque and have a little marijuana.
Yeah.
They went straight to stealing cars.
Yeah, they skipped a whole bunch of steps. I feel like stealing cars is worse.
It's much worse.
Yeah, and what do they do with the car? Did they put it back? Is that like
I don't know.
Did they say what they did with it?
No, they didn't mention anything. As
like
far as I'm
take it to the
concerned,
chop
they drove
shop.
it off a fucking cliff.
Yeah, take it to the chop shop. Yeah, they skipped a bunch of steps there. It's like, hey, what do you guys want to do tonight? Yeah, I got some weed. We're gonna smoke some chronic. Let's fucking steal a car.
Yeah,
sure.
I guess they had to establish that the kid could be a getaway driver.
Yeah.
However, you could also do that by just saying, yeah, your driving lessons are whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
like he's of that age. But stealing cars, like who the fuck?
They really jumped the shark on that one.
Yeah, that was a bit excessive. Yeah. It's a quick.
If you want to rebel, I feel like stealing a car is like you got to work your way up to that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, first do drugs and start drinking.
Yeah,
not that we're condoning that type of actions for young ones.
Correct.
I'm just saying, before I stole a car, I did drugs
and
I drank. Not at the same time, though.
That'll just put you to sleep.
No. So, anyways, yeah.
So what was I saying before we talked about boosting the car? Oh, yeah. So there's one scene there where he's gonna reveal, like she's making a video diary to Santa Claus, like asking him for something, and he catches her and he's like, "Well, don't you know? Like, don't you know that And he's about to reveal to her that Santa isn't real, but he stops.
Yeah, it's exactly
before he does that.
Yeah.
So that was actually interesting because typically he would say it like that's the archetype for that type of relationship, and a lot of movies are built off of that,
right?
And he doesn't, which I was like, oh, that was interesting, and it shows that, like you were saying, that there is still like a connection that hasn't been completely corroded since their father has passed. So.
Same thing with when it was the other way, when she was going to snitch on him about the stealing the car to the mom, and then she just is like, he pushed me, and that was it. And then that's this whole, basically the video camera is what the storytelling device for the whole film is. That's sort of told through the eyes of the cameras, the way I look at it. And that's what really prompted them to see Santa's hand. And then they decided to go and try and set up the Santa trap, as I called it.
That's right.
Try to figure it out. Now, the thing I didn't understand was, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, we definitely tried to stay up and tried to catch Santa in the act.
Yeah, I've done that.
Didn't go well. How was this the first time that these guys thought about doing this? And so intricately.
Yeah, this was a very intricate plan, and it seems odd. I think the whole thing is prompted by the fact that she saw something on the video. I think that's why it's the first time. Like, she saw a hand. She's like, oh, you can capture him on video. Like, maybe.
Yeah, but you don't think they would have tried that back in the day?
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess they didn't have the technical ingenuity to create the fucking Jingle Bell trap.
Yeah, wait, when does this movie take place?
I think it was 20-something.
It's like 2018 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that camcorder is still a fucking camcorder. It's got
like
a
they
little
mentioned
videotape.
That. Yeah,
like
they mentioned
right? Yeah, I it's a good question. I don't know.
Maybe Santa doesn't show up on digital, but he does.
Yeah,
show
he shows up on
camcorders.
analog. He shows up on the analog video.
Damn. So, anyways, they find Santa does come to visit them again.
That's right.
And then they hijack his sleigh, pretty much, or try to.
So
See, that
yeah,
kid's
so-
just hijacking anything he can.
Yeah, so the kids stay up and they catch him and they kind of like he's on the roof and they run outside, and this is one of the cooler things that like from a creativity standpoint, where the sleigh is floating like silently in like the middle of the street, like on autopilot, kind of like drifting slowly through the middle of the street, and it's completely empty, and Santa Claus is like running across the roofs and like he's like turning into this like coal dust and warping in and out of the chimneys.
Yes.
So it's a little different than like anything else I've ever seen.
Now, this pissed me off because I'm like, that is the most irresponsible sleigh parking job any Santa has ever done.
Moving. It's moving slowly, but
It
it's
was
also
moving
like
so
10
fast
feet in the air.
that a girl had time to climb up onto a roof, which I can tell you is probably not easy to do, and then jump into said sleigh while it's moving at maybe half a kilometer per hour.
You know what?
What? Tell me. Go ahead.
Fuck you, man.
Just saying. It's not responsible for Santa to park his shit in the middle of the street.
You know what? This all makes sense by the end of the movie, okay? And we'll get into why that is. This all makes sense, okay?
I hate you so much right now.
So anyway,
This is garbage.
Anyway, she sees the sleigh drifting in the middle of the road, and she climbs up, as you said, like a monkey. She's like a fucking monkey when she's climbing up this thing. Jumps into the sleigh. Santa comes back to the sleigh, doesn't see them back there, throws the bag of toys back there, and off they go. And they're flying in midair, and this is the other thing that I thought was really interesting and definitely reminded me a little of Rise of the Guardians. He's mushing the sort of the reindeer through the sky, and he's speaking a different language. He's mushing. Mush.
Isn't it mush?
Mush.
When you
I
say
don't know.
mush, I just think of him like grabbing them. Come here, you fuck.
It's like squashing them.
Just squashing the reindeer like repeatedly.
Mush. Yeah, whatever.
Mush, you piece
Mush.
of mush.
Anyway,
Sorry.
He's speaking a different language, and it's kind of like it sounds sort of like Nordic, but I think it's made up. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, like it's kind of this Elvish language, which I thought was also another interesting take, where he's speaking a different language, and he this is the first you haven't seen his face yet, and she's getting cold. He still doesn't know that they're back there in the sleigh, and she taps him on the shoulders. That's gonna get a blanket,
Right?
And he turns around, and he's like, "You do it."
He's yes, it's one of these like
It's like full frame, like his face is the entire screen, and he just screams like "Ah!" And he screams, but when Kurt Russell screams like that, and he's done it in Big Trouble in Little China and like Captain Ron and all these comedies he
fully commits.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
He's got this twinkle in his eye that just like he's just so goofy, you know?
Yeah.
And it really works here when he screams. I started laughing immediately. I thought that was hilarious. So they have this thing where he catches her as she's falling down, and he crashes the sleigh and loses his sack. Santa's now sackless, and he also loses his hat.
Right.
In the process. So they crash land, and I think this is a scene that was shot in Toronto. So a lot of this movie was shot in Toronto, in like Leslieville.
Really?
And like the 404 and the DVP. I was just looking it up.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, I think there was several scenes shot in Toronto, and Shugo actually recognized some of the areas.
Huh.
But this is where Santa sort of reveals that, hey, like, Christmas is gonna basically go downhill if I don't find my sack of toys
In the worst way possible.
Yeah. So he describes what a world where he missed Christmas. One
Christmas. You know, the Dark Ages? I fucking lost my shit when he said that. I was just like, holy!
He's like, are you familiar
Yeah.
with the Dark Ages? It's like, I guess, yeah. What is that? He's like, you missed one Christmas? He's like, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys are shooting for the stars on this one.
Yeah.
It's like people become more violent, like they get irritable, like crime rates go up and all of that crazy stuff. So
Like, that seems like an excessive punishment for missing one Christmas.
Yeah.
That's like basically like condemning people to death for jaywalking.
yeah, so And this is the scene where he's like, yeah, I'm not like 300 pounds, and there's this recurring joke where he's actually in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about his suit. I thought his suit was fantastic.
The wardrobe was fantastic.
It's amazing,
really
isn't
good.
it? That is hands down the best Santa suit I've ever seen.
I'll take it one step farther. I think this might be my favorite Santa Claus.
That's interesting. I was actually gonna talk about that for a little bit. Maybe we should do a whole episode on our favorite Santa Clauses, because that's interesting. It's up there for me, for sure. It's like really the biggest reason to watch this movie is because of his performance. And I'm trying to think of like competing Santa, like Richard Attenborough in like the remake of Miracle on 34th Street. I always thought was pretty good.
Yeah. Which Santa Claus would you want to sit down and have a drink with, though? That's my gauge for my Santa Claus, and I can't think of another one that would be in that category.
Yeah.
Maybe Bill Goldberg's Santa Claus from Santa's Sleigh or whatever.
Oh, God.
Ho, ho, hos.
Oh, it's when he goes to the strip club?
Ho, ho, hos.
Oh, God. And then he's going to use the pole to kill someone, and he sprays it down with like like disinfectant first. Like, ooh. Oh, God.
That movie was something special.
Yeah.
If you have not seen Santa's Sleigh with Bill Goldberg, do yourself a favor and see this ridiculous fucking film.
Oh, my God.
He doesn't have any reindeer. It's just one large white bison.
Yep.
It's so fucking ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's totally ridiculous. Yeah, no, I think this is definitely up there for me. I'd have to think about the other Santa Clauses. Like, I think the Santa Claus from Night Before Christmas is actually just a wuss. I never liked him. The Santa Claus from Ernest Saves Christmas is pretty good.
He's very good.
Yeah,
yes.
He's pretty good.
The Salty's also the Sultan from Aladdin. That's his voice. From Ernest Goes Stupid.
Yeah.
When I watched it last year, and
because we did the Christmas episode. That was on your Christmas list.
And when I'd watched, I might have mentioned it then, but yeah, when I watched it, it was driving me nuts because I kept hearing his voice in my head, and as soon as it clicked, I was like, oh my God, my mind exploded.
And to be honest, I like the Santa from Rise of the Guardians because it's got that fantasy sort of adventure-y action appeal.
Yeah, true.
But no, I think this is the best balance between sort of like an older guard Santa, but like modernized just a little bit.
True.
I liked the recurring jokes of him not being like a really fat, like sort of overweight guy.
Yep.
This is like the DILF Santa, you know? Like
I think he got a shot.
I feel like this is the most attractive Santa. Let me put it that way. And the wardrobe really does help. Let's talk about his beard for a second. Before the show, I looked up. I had to know.
What there
inquiring minds.
He had
performance
enhancing follicles.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently, 80% of his beard is real in that movie, and I believe that, considering how large and in charge it was in like Bone Tomahawk and The Hateful Eight.
I'd buy that
for $1.
No, I meant okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess they enhanced it a little bit on the sides. I don't know what
beard extensions,
yak hair.
Yo.
But yeah, no, it's a glorious beard. It is. It really is. So
top 10.
Yeah. Wardrobe really great. His mannerisms are really really great. And he says, this is the line where he says fake news, and I thought that was really forced. I didn't like that at all.
No.
Like the whole I didn't like fake news. Like, it's like, come on, guys. We don't need to force like this. We don't need to force this like, modern sort of like top 40 culture like
it
slammed
gave me
into this
chuckle,
movie.
But then it made me worry that that's where they were going to go for the rest of the film, and
they didn't.
They didn't.
Where they did go with it was with the elves, and we'll get there in a minute. I'll explain, but later. But yeah. So no, it sets the precedent. He's like, look, I'm gonna go do this myself. I got to go find my shit, and the kids are like, we're gonna help. So that's where we are now.
Okay. So the kids and him, what was their first task? Is they were looking for...
They needed a ride.
They needed a ride, that's right.
So they go to this
the bar.
Yeah, they go to the, like, O'Malley's Irish bar. The reason that jumped to my head is because you mentioned it. Are we going to talk about this?
No,
we're going to talk about it. Okay, real quick sidebar. All right.
Oh, dear.
I hope everyone has heard of a band called Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. They did an album called, what's the album called? Shit.
Murder Ballads.
Oh yeah, Murder Ballads. Okay, and I think the off this album, there's a couple of great songs, more than a couple, but one of them, the last one, is a 13-minute ballad. I don't even know if it's a ballad, but it's
ballady.
It's long. It's 13 minutes. It's called O'Malley's Bar.
Yeah.
And the whole song kind of has this folksy A.B. thing going on, where he's every verse. It's like a bluesy song. Yeah. It's like and it's like every verse is the same sort of like melody, but it's different lyrics. And it's about a man going on a killing spree, and like murdering people in the most graphic way possible. So that's why, because I remember this being an Irish pub in the movie, and the first thing I thought was O'Malley's Bar, because you said you just listened to it recently, and it was just really, really, really off-putting. He's a great lyricist.
He's an incredible lyricist.
Yeah, and and they're really creative verses, but they are so upsetting. They really are. And he's got a great voice, but man, that is a tough song to get through.
And it's 14 minutes
14,
long.
not 13.
Or 15 almost.
Yeah, it's
bananas.
It's quite something.
It's a lot of song.
If I encourage everyone to give it at least one try. It's a very interesting album in general, but especially O'Malley's Bar. It's very, very strange. I think his cover of Stagger Lee is also
something.
It is something special too. So anyway, back to O'Malley's Bar, and it's not O'Malley's Bar. I think it's some other name. Anyway,
you call it The Bar.
The Bar. They go in and they have this really this is what I was talking about, these genuine moments with people where he comes in and he needs a ride. He needs and he's just talking to people, and he knows who they are, and he knows what they wanted for Christmas in the past. So he has a couple of these touching moments with the hostess. But then he's trying to get a ride in the bar, asking people like hey, could you guys like spare some change or like whatever. And everyone is so mean in that bar. I was getting upset as a viewer. That one Indian couple, he comes and he starts speaking Hindi to them.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, I speak English, you idiot.
Yeah, that wouldn't be any Indian person's reaction. He's reasonable and speaks English. They would be like, how is this happening right now that your old white ass is speaking Hindi to me right now?
That's right.
It would blow their minds. You would drive them anywhere if some old, nice-looking white dude came up to you and is like, hey...
Yeah.
Let me drop some Hindi on you. Insert Hindi here. You'd be like, wow.
Yeah.
Where do you need to go?
I was almost like offended by that scene, because I'm like, and if an Indian person heard this guy speaking Hindi to them, they'd be like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll take you. Like, where do you need to go? Like, I'll take. It's almost the exact opposite reaction when he's like, you idiot. I looked at Chuggu. I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, Santa, put the eye patch on and blow this asshole away. Like, I wanted him to kick his ass after that. I was actually kind of upset. I'm like, that's fucked up.
The other thing, too, in that bar, the woman that took the baseball card, the rookie... And not like, it wasn't one of those things where she's like, no, she's not going to do that. Here's your stupid card back.
Yeah.
She had the audacity to rip up a baseball card that's worth thousands of dollars.
Unbelievable. You know what's great in these scenes is Kurt Russell's reactions to all of this are this like really subdued kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but despite the fact that I wanted him to slit everyone's throat in that bar, after that I realized that he took the higher path, and he had great reactions, especially to the card ripping. I don't know if you remember this when he's like, look, I'll trade you. What is it like? What did he have? Like a Benz or like a Ferrari?
Porsche.
I think it's a Porsche.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll trade you your Porsche for this car, and the guy's like, yeah, I'll take like this. Is a Mickey Mantle like rookie or what? Yeah, rookie card. Yeah, and when the wife takes it, she's like, no, rips the card. The guy is like, oh, but then Santa's like this, oh, like
he's got it in stride.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, kind of like he's more reacting to how this guy is feeling, rather than the fact that it was a card that he had in his jacket. You know what I mean? Like, he's reacting to this guy's reaction to having this card ripped, which is obviously something that he cared about. So it's these little things that make his performance so good. It's like he's always like super empathetic, right? He never adds a verse to that O'Malley's Bar song. Like
Despite me wanting him to.
Yeah, that's right.
That
that's
woman
right.
was the worst. So anyways, they have after talking to all the patrons. They have a kerfuffle with the bartender who's just a scumbag. They steal a stolen car, which was fun.
Yeah.
Kind of a cool chase scene, but nothing.
Yeah, no, it was cool. Yeah, I didn't mind that.
Yeah. But then they end up finding the reindeer, which they looked okay.
Oh, right, because they lost the reindeer.
They lost the reindeer. That was kind of
Chicago,
what they're finding. Yeah, they're in Chicago at this point. They find the reindeer, but Santa gets booked for stealing cars.
Yeah, and we were introduced to these two cops, which I also thought were pretty funny. They were good. Like, so I mean, like, there was nobody that was like bad in this movie.
No,
like they were like all competent, well written. There weren't like mind blowing performances, but like genuine ones. Like they didn't feel forced.
Right. The actress that played what's her name, Kate, the young one, just she was okay. But she, like, especially early on in the film, she was okay. But then there were some scenes that where she was a lot better.
Yeah, I think she was a little up and down. Bag. But like, she wasn't bad.
Horrible. No, she wasn't horrible.
Also, with the older, like the teenage brother, like he was never bad.
No, he was okay.
Yeah,
passable. So they didn't give him a lot to do, really. No. Like, he wasn't really emoting for much of the film.
No, he was just kind of sad and mopey.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
So, teenager.
Yeah, basically. So this is a fun scene where he goes to get arrested and they split up. And it was so funny. He's like, listen, you go find the reindeer and I'm going to distract the cops. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't you go get the goddamn reindeer? It doesn't make any sense. But it makes sense by the end of the movie.
I hate you so much.
All right. So they go and they get the reindeer. And what did you think of the reindeer? They went all CG for the reindeer.
They went all CG. I thought they looked kind of cheap. I think they were the cheaper looking thing. Like, I think they looked cheaper than the elves.
Yeah.
Maybe because we're used to seeing creatures that look like that in real life.
Sure, yeah. It's like a real animal.
Yeah, they're just bigger, a little more bigger, I guess, and a little more, I don't know, overemphasized. Magical, whatever.
Yeah. So, actually, I would agree with you mostly on that. The one thing I found that was impressive, they did one-shot takes where they mount the reindeer. Yes. I don't know if you noticed, like, when they're getting on the reindeer, they don't cut away ever. And at least from what I can remember, movies don't rarely do that, because getting on to a CG creature can be a weird process. Here it was seamless. Like when they got on the back of the reindeer, like sometimes you get like weird herky-jerky things, but like I don't know what they did. It looks
I'd have to look seamless. At it again, but it's
like it's something that stood out to me. I was like, oh, they really went for it there, because they really didn't have to. They could have cut away to something else and come back and he was already on the reindeer, but they showed him getting on, and that's a lot of like interaction with the hair on the reindeer, with the fur, and like the motion of the reindeer has to be matched like exactly. And so I think that's a lot of extra effort, but I noticed it. So anybody who worked on this movie and on those scenes in particular, good job. I thought I actually did quite enjoy that.
And I didn't notice it, which is also a good sign. Like it's not something that I noticed being like that looked bad. It looked, like you said, seamless. It made sense. So I didn't really have any call out there. Right. So this movie, at this point in the movie, it kind of splits off into two tales now. Right. Now you've got the kids going after the sack, Santa's sack, and then Santa's sack is now in jail as well.
No, Santa is in jail. Santa's sack is somewhere else. You just said, "Oh, I got it."
Really?
I got it. Sorry, I was looking at my notes.
God damn it! Pay attention.
I wasn't listening.
So, anyways, the movie breaks off into two paths, and I desperately wanted to just stay on the Santa path the whole time.
Yeah.
Because the kids, though competent, not exactly what I signed up for in this film.
So let's talk about the kids' path and like sum that up real quick, and then we'll jump back. So like the kids end up finding the sack in a park. They go to get it, and here's where some weird shit happens. Like they get accosted by this group of like gangbangers in the park, and these guys look hard. They look like hard gangbangers. And I was like, oh, that's like, it's an interesting take, because they're pretty intense, you know? It wasn't like goofy sort of like comedy gangbangers. I'm like...
Can we stop saying gangbangers? I'm just saying. I mean... just, you said it 3 times pretty much consecutively.
Gangbanger.
And can we just say criminals?
Criminals,
Let's go with
These
criminals.
look like hard gangbangers.
Hardened criminals.
These look like hard gangbangers. So these gangbangers take these kids back to their lair, and it's run by this head gangbanger. Okay? So this head gangbanger is like, he's a serious dude. Like they've gone, like he's got a couple of tattoos. He looks like a really rough and tumble like leader. Like there's no comedy here at all. And it was that coupled with there are a couple of references to Chicago's crime rate in this movie. I don't know if you noticed that, but it was just like really weird that they dove into this like really seedy part of like Chicago crime, and while Santa Claus is in jail saying like, hey, if I don't deliver all my presents on Christmas, the crime rate's gonna go up, and we're in Chicago. Like he's just like
they're shitting on Chicago.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's an odd focus to take there. So that was one thing I took away from that. Do you have any comments on the gangbangers?
Not more than I've already offered.
All right, perfect. The sister crawls into the sack and ends up in like it's like a portal.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take. I like that a lot. And eventually, all of the elves come out to help them because they're in the gangbangers' lair and doing the gangbanger thing. And these elves pop out to help, and she meets them. She talks to them, whatever. And this is I gotta say, this is the worst part of the movie for me.
Yeah,
when they introduce the elves. The elves are all CG. They are, I wouldn't say they're terrifying. They're just kind of ugly, and they are basically just walking memes. All of them. They're all doing meme things. And like one of them's like they're all dancing, like singing and like doing little heart shapes, like Instagram things. And they're all doing like one of them is doing that dance. What's that dance all the young kids are doing? Is that flossing? Yeah, that flossing dance or whatever. They were just shoving all of this like modern sort of Instagram culture. Instead of having anybody else do it, they just shoved it all in with the elves. And it was genuinely awful, and like I just wish I don't even remember. I honestly skipped that part of the movie.
I literally like clued out pretty much in all of this, mainly because I was like, you know what, the elves are here, they're gonna make nice with the hardened criminals and save the day, and
yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty predictable. I'm just saying that
it literally just kind of everything kind of happened in the order that I thought it would, so I didn't really get invested into that. And then as soon as they switched over to the other stories, when I was like, oh shit, what's going on here? And then, we're back to the kids and the elves. Like I just didn't. There wasn't enough meat on that part of the story for me to actually want to get.
Yeah, they could have trimmed that a lot.
Yeah.
Now another interesting thing I wanted to point out is when the elves pop out of the sack in the gangbanger lair. They actually attack all of the gangbangers, and this is when like all of it becomes kind of a little comedic, like Gremlin style.
Yes.
Like inexplicably, they think the brother is one of the gangbangers. So there's like one deranged, like homicidal elf. They hold him down, and he whips out a chainsaw, and he looks like he's about to cut his nuts off. Like that's what it looks like. And they're like, wait.
I don't think it looks like that. That is exactly what was going to happen.
And they're like, wait, no, he's my brother. It's like, oh, okay. And he's like, I never get to have any fun, and walks off the stage. And I'm like, that was completely out of nowhere.
Yeah. It was.
I'm like, where was that chainsaw when we were attacking the gangbangers? Like, are they all just getting chopped up into like different cuts of meat, all like off camera? Like, what's going on? I'm like really terrified for these guys.
The elves were homicidal.
Yeah,
in some degree.
I feel like they were all like, but like this. I remember looking at Chugga when the chainsaw came. I'm like, what's going on? This turned into like a weird, like Krampus, like slasher thing all of a sudden. So yeah, I thought that was really out of place.
Yeah, it was extremely out of place. It really just made no sense. As soon as I saw that, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. So anyway, those are my only comments for that section of the movie.
Eventually, at this point now, I guess you've got to really put the button on that side story is the elves are now in play.
Yep.
And they're going to return Santa his magic hat, which we didn't really mention before.
He can't fly without his hat.
And now you're caught up.
It all makes sense at the end.
All right. Anyways, so Santa is imprisoned at this point.
This happening in parallel. Yep.
Right. And only one cop saw the
reindeer
fly. So he's constantly trying to tout this and nobody's really believing him. Meanwhile, the other cop that had caught him is slowly becoming aware that Santa might be the real deal. He's breaking out like, oh, you frisked me, but look, I have all these toys from your childhood.
I love that scene where he just keeps pulling random shit out of his coat.
Yeah.
And it's all this shit that I loved when I was a kid. There's like G.I. Joe's there. There's a Star Wars toy there. There's, I can't remember what else, but like there's like stuff that I enjoyed as a kid. And I could feel this guy, like, I thought this actor was pretty good. Like, I think he emoted well.
Oh, yeah.
So I think he did a really good job.
I feel like I've seen him in other stuff.
Oh, he's been in a ton of other stuff. I can't remember his name. But
so anyways, basically nobody really buys it enough that they're going to let him out, so they put him in a jail cell. And the best goddamn scene in this movie, all of a sudden the movie's like, you know what? We're going to be a musical for the next few minutes.
Yeah.
And he breaks out fucking instruments and stuff, which you'd think the cops would see instruments and all kinds of contraband just randomly appearing in the jail cell. They'd be like, what the hell?
Well, also the lights changing.
The lights changing, wardrobe changes. All of a sudden the hookers get more hookerish clothes, but they're at least festive.
Yeah, the festive hooker clothes.
Yeah. I don't know if they were hookers. I just assume. Most of the time when women get thrown in, and this is, not to sound sexist, but typically this is what you see in films.
In films, yeah.
Is that when women go in there, they're usually hookers,
women
right?
of the night, yeah, typically.
Women of the night.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to put it. It's better than gangbangers.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he breaks out a guitar and he gives it to inexplicably I want to make sure I don't screw up his name. Steven Van Zandt.
Is it actually him?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, Steven Van
him?
Zandt. Yeah, he's the guy with the long hair, big nose. He's from The Sopranos. He played Silvio in the Sopranos. And he was part of Bruce Springsteen's band, the E Street Band or whatever it is. Very famous, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The guy is like a made man in rock and roll circles. Yeah. I don't know who the other guy was that got a guitar. He looked like somebody as well that plays guitar. Like, he had a swagger to him.
I was telling you earlier. I'm like, there's no way. I was talking to Sugar while we were watching. I'm like, there's no way these two guys aren't famous because they're so strange. Like, their line delivery is so strange and they have so much swagger. I'm like, there's no like extra that would just play these guys like this. It just seems like an odd choice. I'm like, these guys must be famous and actual musicians. So then what proceeds is
he starts handing out trumpets to people that don't know how to play the trumpet but do know how to play the trumpet apparently. And then all of a sudden the place turns into a full-on Santa Claus concert. Santa concert. And honestly, it was just so much fun seeing him, again, Kurt Russell, having fun with the role.
Killing it. And he's doing an Elvis song.
Absolutely.
And he's doing I can't Santa's remember. Back in town. No, Santa's coming to town, but it's kind of like different lyrics, right? Like, but it's like one of like Elvis's classic Christmas tunes, and Kurt Russell has played Elvis in a TV movie called Elvis for Carpenter. I think Carpenter directed that TV movie. I think.
I have to look that up.
Then he was in a movie called 3,000 Miles to Graceland, which he played an Elvis impersonator knocking off a bank with Kevin Costner, who both played Wyatt Earp, one in Tombstone and one in a movie called Wyatt Earp that went up head to head one year. Anyway, random side note. So he has this like long history with cinematic representations of Elvis. So like it's a nice nod to that history, and he's crushing it in this performance. He's doing the Elvis thing, and it's obvious. I don't know, like it's obviously not him singing, but like he. It's just
he's
a great.
It.
He's in there.
He's got a couple buttons popped.
Yeah, he's wearing this dope ass vest too under that Santa suit, that jacket, that long coat. He's wearing this dope ass vest. It's I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. It was an awesome scene. It made not a lick of sense, but it was tremendous amounts of fun. And you know what I found awkward?
What?
Or more like hilarious is after the song is done. All the cops have come over to see the music, and they're all dancing, and like, it's this big thing. And then after the music dies down, all the cops just kind of walk away.
Yeah, they're like, nothing strange here. Like, they didn't even go in and be like, all right, we should unplug these lights from the sockets that don't exist in this room because this is a jail cell.
It's so funny. It was just, they all just leave, and I'm like, nobody asked any questions.
No.
Like, how did a full-on rock concert get dealt out in the drunk tank? Like, I don't get it. Anyway, so he finally convinces the cop that he is in fact Santa Claus, and that's when the elves pop in. After,
the murderous elf gives him his hat.
The homicidal elf is like, "Here's your hat, Santa." And then he cold dusts it out of there, and then they realize they have very little time to save Christmas at that point.
But they inexplicably do by all working together, and the moral of the story is teamwork. The end. Don't you fucking do it.
So, that's mostly true, and they have this huge climax where they're like delivering presents at a crazy rate.
Yes.
And And yeah, it's a fun sequence and like, whatever. But the kicker really comes at the end. After they've saved Christmas, they've delivered every present, every last present. He drops them off at their house on their street. And as a gift to them, the kids, he gives them his hat. And he's been making a big deal about it, this hat, through the whole movie. And he's been like, look, I can't fly without my fucking hat. I cannot save Christmas without this hat. Mrs. Claus always telling me to bring an extra just in case I lose it. Can't do it without this hat. At the end, he takes the fucking hat off and hands it to the kid. The brother, I guess.
Yeah. I think.
And he's like, but Santa, what about your hat? You can't fly without your hat. And it turns out that the hat has nothing to do with it. Which leads me to believe that this was all a very complex ruse to get these kids out of that rut that they were in with with their father passing away and the kids going down the wrong path, disliking each other, teen angst, carjacking, the whole nine. I think it was just this elaborate. That's what the movie is trying to get you to.
Yes, that is what they're getting me to believe.
Yeah. So anytime you were like, "Hey, that doesn't make any sense. Why didn't Santa get the reindeer?" And at the end, I'm like,
No, I know.
You got me, movie.
I know.
You got me.
No, they didn't get you. Stop that.
It is cheap as fuck. I will tell you that much.
Thank you.
But it's there, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll take it.
What are the logistics on running a ruse like that? Does he do that for every single squabbling couple of brother and sisters or brother and brothers or siblings or whatever?
Maybe he owed his dad a favor.
What?
I don't know. I don't know, but
maybe because his dad died tragically trying to save people, however, always touted Christmas. Is that what you're saying? Is that why these kids got the
special treatment?
Santa experience? Santa sack experience? Quick, get into my sack.
The gangbanger sack experience. Yeah, I don't know. These are all very, very good questions, Justin, and I got to tell you, I'm not sure I really care.
I think that's probably true. I think I care too much.
Yeah, I think you really.
I don't know why. Oh, Santa.
So I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about that. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest there?
No. Honestly, like you said, it was cheap, and it's one of these things that as much fun as we're having with it, in this podcast, just joking about it, it was actually it didn't set me off nearly as much as I'm making it out to be. Right. But yes, I mean, it is a very cheap plot device, and it makes you think like, wait, did he know all that? Like, was there not other better ways to do what you had to do? Why did you threaten children with the Dark Ages? What the fuck is wrong with you, Santa?
Yeah, well, no, I think all of that's still true.
What?
I think all of it's still
maybe
true.
That's a ruse.
Yeah, the Dark Ages?
Yeah, fuck it. Santa just went and changed a few thousand books. Little history change.
Dark Ages are just a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cautionary tale.
Stories seem credible.
Yeah. Don't argue with your siblings or else the Dark Ages. That's basically what this movie's saying. If everybody got along with their siblings, there would be no trouble in this on this planet. No Dark Ages. So, if you have a brother or sister, get along with them.
Get along with them. For our sakes, please. Yeah, so and then at the very end, he has this whole thing about not being as fat as, the popular depiction of Santa, but also he doesn't ho ho ho. He doesn't say that.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't say ho ho ho.
He does.
Until he does at the end where the younger sister is like, "Can you just do it?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Can you just do it?" "Yes." "Okay, fine." So he says he's going to do it. Gets in the sleigh, does this dramatic flyby, and delivers what is the most terrifying ho 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 I have ever experienced in my natural life.
It was very aggressive.
He points on it, ho ho ho, and I'm like, my God, that's scary. That was legit frightening.
Bill Goldberg as Santa Claus was far more tame than that when he said ho ho ho. Granted, his was to a bunch of strippers, but
yeah. That's right.
And not children, but that being said, these were still children. He basically threatened them with ho 3 times.
It was like blood curdling. I gotta tell you,
it was
I
frightening.
saw that and I'm like, oh man.
That he could have done that exact same take on that scene in The Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
And it would have made as much sense.
Yeah, that's
People
right.
would have been like, Jesus Christ, we can't fuck with John Ruth.
That's right.
Man's gonna hang the hangman. The hangman's a coming.
Yeah.
Ho ho ho.
Oh, fuck. Like, oh my god. And then the movie ends, and that's it.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, man. I mean, look,
It's all right.
it's all right. It wasn't
all right.
bad. It wasn't amazing. It's pretty much the kind of fluff you expect to see this time of year. A special standout for Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. That's what sets it apart, to be honest.
Absolutely.
It's produced by Chris Columbus, I think.
The Explorer.
No. Oh my god. I can't believe I laughed at that, man. I can't believe I laughed at that stupid joke.
I'm hilarious.
You're just a stupid man with stupid jokes, okay? Just shut up. Fuck. Ugh. Anyway, Chris Columbus, I think, produced and wrote this movie. Can you look that up?
Sure.
Look it up, you asshole. All right, so he also, I think he also directed like Home Alone and the first two Harry Potter movies. So, and he's produced some other like Christmas films. So, I think this definitely has that Chris Columbus feel to it, where he's trying to make a Christmas classic. I think something to like recurring a lot of that photography looks very familiar to me. But yeah, like it's trying to be that. It could be. I'll be watching it next year, I think. I mean, like just for Kurt Russell's Santa Claus, pretty much, and that's probably my only takeaway from this movie.
What did you say he did?
He was a producer or an executive producer
On what?
on this movie.
Yeah, he is
Oh.
on this movie. He produced Jingle All the Way, but he didn't do anything with
He
Home
directed
Alone.
Home Alone
Oh,
1 and 2.
directed.
Yeah, he directed
Oh,
Home
word.
Alone 1
Okay,
and 2.
my
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. So
Oh, and Mrs. Doubtfire. Get the fuck out of here.
he directed Mrs. Doubtfire and Harry Potter 1 and 2.
And Bicentennial Man.
I never saw that movie.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, too.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good job, Christopher Columbus.
I laughed again. So yeah, it's trying to be that, and yeah, check it out.
Yeah, I don't know if it achieves
If you like Christmas,
that level, but
if you like
it's-
Christmas movies, I feel like this is a no-brainer.
Yeah,
You gotta check it out.
it's an easy to digest hour and a half. I think it was. It wasn't a long film. It's a pretty digestible
Yeah.
film, and I think it'd be good for kids. I think kids would get a kick out of this.
Yeah, just
aside
watch out
from
for
the
that.
scary ass elves
and the ho 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 at the end.
and
That's
the gang
terrifying.
banging. All right, kids, we're done.
All right. We'll see you guys. We probably have at least one more episode around a Christmas.
Yeah, we
thing
got another
coming up.
Christmas thing, and then for Christmas,
For Christmas.
we're actually going to review Aquaman.
I dig it.
That was okay. We're done. All right, I'm calling it.
See ya.
Take care, guys. Cheers.
Drums.